Well, hello, ladies. My name is Glenn Price, and I am co-founder and co-owner of a company called Keystone Financial Resources here in the Brentwood area. And I want to welcome you to our webinar on her retirement, where we help women really live the kind of retirement that they want with confidence. Now, here's what we're going to talk about today, ladies. The first thing is we're going to discuss the importance of aligning your money with your values. And that's a conversation you're probably not used to having around your money, especially with an advisor. But I'm going to walk you through a process. I'm going to share with you a tool that I believe will change the way you view money and think about money for the rest of your life. Then we're going to talk about with everything that's been going on with the COVID-19, and we watched the stock market, take a big hit on our 401ks and your IRAs. What do you need to do now as the market's kind of struggling to find its footing? We're going to talk about that. Are there some strategic things that you need to be doing today so that you will be where you need to be in the years to come, okay? Then we'll talk about knowing where you stand. Here's the fact, ladies. If you don't know where you're going, you may not like where you end up. So we're going to talk about why that's so important. Now, before we get into the details of my content there, let me take just a moment and tell you a little bit more about who we are here at Keystone, why we're here, why we're doing a webinar on her retirement. And I'll start with myself. I've been helping families build reliable financial plans for over 26 years. My business partner, Jonathan Scott, has well over 25 years of doing the same thing. We've known each other for years, and over a decade ago, we decided to join forces and begin to work together. And that was a great decision for both of us because we both have a lot of fun. We both are very passionate about what we're doing. And we've been fortunate to build an amazing team of people. You can see this team back here behind me that are totally committed to us, but are totally committed to helping us further our mission. And that's to empower women to take control of their financial lives and live out their retirement years with total confidence. Now, you may be asking, well, gosh, do you only work with women? And the answer to that is no. We work with the fellas too. We don't leave them out. Here at Keystone, we have a lot of clients who are couples. However, when we're building a financial plan for our couples, we always do it with the woman in mind. We plan for her side and his side of retirement. And the reason behind that is this, ladies. 80% of the men will die married, and 80% of you ladies will die single. Another sobering fact is that women that are 65 and older are 80% more likely to fall below the poverty threshold than men. Women 75 and older are 3 times more likely to be impoverished than men. And so as a result of that, here's what I would say, ladies. If with COVID-19, if you haven't learned anything else, and I know that you have, but one of the things I hope you take away is that you need to know where everything is. Married or not, you need to know where everything is. For you ladies out there that are married, if your husband, who maybe he's handled all the finances, if he got sick and 7 days later he died, what are you going to need to know about your finances? And the answer is absolutely everything. So there's a great article I read I wanted to share with you as well that talks about why women need to be waking up and why they need to take control and know where everything is. And it's by both ladies. One is Eleanor Blaney, another one is Marjorie Fox. And both of them are CFPs, which stands for Certified Financial Planner. One's an attorney. They're both retired. They're in their 70s, and one is divorced and the other one is widowed. And here's what they said. They started out saying, Ginger Rogers, Fred Astaire's dancing partner, was celebrated as a woman who could do everything a man does, but do it backwards in high heels. Now, women's ability to succeed despite their disadvantages has been demonstrated in sports, politics, business, medicine, and academics. But when it comes to retiring successfully and comfortably, the obstacles faced by women can be too great to overcome. For many reasons, in a variety of ways, women often do not keep in step with men. In their later years, they often dance alone, and not nearly so gracefully or effortlessly as their male counterparts. According to the National Institute of Retirement Security, women aged 65 or older are 80% more likely to be below the poverty threshold than men, as I mentioned earlier. So again, it's important that you wake up and you know exactly where everything is at. Now, you're probably, a question probably in your mind at this point is, why are two men so driven to help him teach and empower women to become financially secure and to take control of their finances? And the answer for me is really around my grandmother, and for Jonathan, his mother. To tell you a little about me, I grew up in Sparta, and my parents divorced when I was just a boy, a little guy. My dad remarried, but my grandparents on both sides became like, my grandmothers particularly became like mothers to me. And one particular grandmother, Nana, call her Nana. Nana and Pa were farmers. And so I would work with them every day on the farm. And they poured into me. I can remember Pa would say, you know, Glenn, your word is your bond. When you make somebody a promise, you know, you keep it. When you tell somebody you're going to do something, you do it. He also was a great leader and an example of hard work. He'd say, you know, in life, nothing is for free. You got to earn it. And Nana, what an amazing woman of integrity she is today. And she would tell me, Glenn, you know, integrity is not just what you do when people are watching, but it's what you do when they're not. And I can remember this life on the farm as a young boy. I absolutely loved it. And I loved waking up in the mornings and smelling the smell of the bacon and the eggs and the hot coffee. And at breakfast, it was, you know, we didn't have a TV, we didn't have cell phones. It was just Nana, Pa, and me. And in the mornings, we would plan out our day. And at lunch, we would spend time planning on how we were going to overcome the challenges that we were facing that day on the farm. And then in the evening time, we would spend time planning, you know, what fields need to be planted and who was going to feed the animals the next day. But then one day, everything changed. Pa had a leaky heart valve. He was young, and he was relatively healthy. And the doctor said, look, he is, the surgery is going to make him feel better. I've done hundreds of these, and he's going to be fine. And I'll never forget when the doctor came out some hours later. Nana was the first one to meet him across the room. The fear I saw on her face when the doctor began to explain that due to unexpected circumstances, Pa didn't make it. He was gone. And I can remember being so confused because I just didn't realize how things were going to change, especially financially for Nana. She had to go back to work. I saw this woman who was strong and not fearful at all. Now she was afraid and she was concerned. And she told me later, she said, you know, Glenn, we always thought retirement would be one of those things that we got around to taking care of, but we didn't know who to call. We didn't know what to do. And so we just did the only thing we knew how to do, and that was to farm. And so that's what they did. And so, you know, you ladies have had things that have happened in your life that have impacted you and have molded you. That had a huge impact on me and directed me toward the decision that I made over 25 years ago, 26 years ago, to become an advisor and to help families, to help widowed women, single women, divorced women, to make sure that they don't have to go through what I saw my Nana have to go through. And for Jonathan, very similar. This is what's unique about our story. For him, you know, his dad left when he was a little boy. So he was left with his mom, and he had to step up as a young boy to become the man of the house. And he began to watch his mom struggle and things that she had to go through. And so Jonathan resolved in his heart as a little boy that the women in his life were going to be secure, that he was going to take care of them. And that transfers into what we do today. We're both so passionate about helping families, particularly women, because we see the statistics, we know the obstacles and the challenges that you face, and that you absolutely need help. And no one's really helping just you, but that's what we're here to do at Keystone. So I wanted to take a moment. I thought that would be important for you to know our heart and what motivates us to do what we do, why we've created this webcast. or this webinar to talk further about that. Now, there it is. Okay, technology, you gotta love it. So which button do I hit? So if I want to go, I want to go back just a second. I know you saw this, but this is our amazing team. We actually have more that have joined the team that we're having to do an update on our picture, I think this next week actually, because our team is growing so rapidly. And so we're so blessed and thankful for that. So that's our team there. Let me make sure. All right. So let's talk about putting your money where your values are. Now, as financial planners, Jonathan and I specialize in doing what we call purpose-focused financial planning. And what that means is this, is that we help clients discover, many times for the very first time, what their true values about money actually are. Now, most people, assume that when you meet with a financial advisor, the communication and conversation is going to be around investments, assets and liabilities, taxes, how long it's going to take you, to retire, when that day will be. And those are all certainly necessary conversations to have. However, we believe that that's not where the conversation needs to begin. What we believe is that we first need to discuss what drives you when it comes to your money. I mean, think about it. Your attitude about money, okay, defines everything that matters to you in your personal financial situation, meaning how much money you need, how hard you're going to have to work to get it, how's it going to feel when you actually get it, right? And so that's why I can say with total confidence that once you understand what money really means to you, then you'll be unstoppable. We've just seen it over and over again. The confidence begins to grow when the light bulb goes off. So I'm going to walk you through a process here, and I'm going to share a tool that I think could be the single most effective tool that we share with clients and walk them through, so that they can help create a life plan that will lead them to the ultimate financial security that they really want. And so let's walk through it. Now, the first thing we're going to talk about are the goals versus the values. Most of the time when you think about money, you're thinking about your goals. You want to buy this, buy a lake house, or you want to, a new car, or go on a vacation, those type of things. But goals are tangible things, okay? They're experiences that carry a specific monetary value. You want to pay down a debt. You want to buy a house. Again, you want to travel. Those are goals. But values are those intangible desires that do not carry a price tag. For example, you can see making a difference, the freedom to do whatever you want to do when you want to do it, the independence, so you don't have to be dependent upon anybody, okay? Those things are those values, those desires inside of us that are really behind, it mentions travel, that's a goal. But what do you get when you travel? Again, that freedom to be able to go, and the enjoyment that you get, the peace of mind to be able to just relax and let the hair blow through your hair if you want. So that's really, really important. So when we're sitting down with a client, we talk about this thing called the values ladder, okay? And it really stems from the first question that you got to answer is, what's important when it comes to your money? And why is it important? I'll tell you a story. There's a client of mine, her name is Betty. And Betty, when I first met her, her husband was already, he was sick. And shortly after he had passed away. And so we were talking one day and we were going through her money. And I said, what's really important to you, Betty, when it comes to your money? And she said, well, I want security. And I says, okay, well, security means a lot of different things to different people, right? So what does it really mean to you? She says, well, I want to be financially independent. And I says, okay, well, that's good, but why is that important? And she said, well, I want to make sure that I'm never a burden to my family. I want to give to them. I don't want to take from them. And I said, all right. And I said, well, tell me more, but why is that important? And she says, Glenn, I want to spend the rest of my life enjoying my family. And she said, when my husband, before he got sick and died, we had planned once he retired to start doing our traveling, hitting our bucket list. But unfortunately, shortly after, he was sick, and for years he was sick, and then he passed away, so we've never done any of that. And I've been scared ever since. And I says, well, Betty, why aren't you doing those things now? And she says, because I don't think I can. Well, Betty had about $500,000 in the bank in CDs. And at the time, it was paying around 5%. I mean, wouldn't you love to get that today, right? But so there's $25,000 a year that she was just taking and putting in the bank. And I said, well, Betty, you're not traveling because you don't think you can. Do you have any idea what it would cost to take a trip with your kids? And she said, well, I really don't. And I said, well, I want to give you an assignment to do some homework. So she quickly got back with me. She said, Glenn, it'll cost about $10,000 to take them on a cruise. I said, $10,000? I said, Betty, you got $25,000 a year coming in. Guess what? You've got the money to do it. And she said, I can? And I said, absolutely you can. And I said, in fact, what you need to do, because this is what's most important, because I asked her, I said, is there anything more important than enjoying the life with your family now and using the money you have? Because see, ladies, money is just a tool. If money's not helping you improve the quality of your life, there's something wrong. And so often the conversation is just around rate of return, and you shop rates of return and you're making sure you don't lose it. And so you can't see the forest for the trees many times. And so with Betty, we were able to back up. We actually created a 5-year travel budget for her. And her responsibility to me was to report, give me the plan, and then I was going to hold her accountable to make sure she did it. And you know what? She lived those 5 years, taking trips with her kids, making memories. She'd bring me back pictures. And then unfortunately, she passed away. Shortly after that, around 6 or 7 years total from when we started. But think about that. She really lived out her years well because she put her values first, and money was just a tool to help her accomplish what she wanted to accomplish. So for many of you, this is an exercise that may take some time. So if you have questions, and by the way, if you've got questions, please feel free to write your questions, email us those questions, send us your email, and we'll get back with you with some answers. Maybe you're saying, I don't know how to build a values ladder. How do I do that? We'll help you with that. If you've got questions on that, again, email us. Let us know. Hey, I want to ask some more questions about that. We'll be happy to help you walk through, because it's a powerful exercise that will change the way you think about money from now on, okay, and improve the quality of your life. And so is there anything that you need to be doing today? And, when the market goes down, here's what's happened, ladies. The market, there was a broad-based drawdown in the market, meaning that everything went down, large cap, small cap, medium cap, international. The whole world was affected, and we saw this panic. You see, our economy was stronger than it's ever been when this happened. The American people had more money than they've ever had through any other time that we've been through like this. And so that's why we're going to come out of this recession very differently. We're very optimistic about that. Will it be fast? I don't believe it'll be quick, because the economy has to recover. It has to find its footing. And as we begin to go back to work, as states begin to open up, then we're going to see things begin to, find its footing. And then I believe we've got some great years ahead of us. Okay. However, what's going to be important, we've always heard, hey, you certainly don't want to sell low and buy high. And so, but what's happened because of the broad-based drawdown, what we've seen is that now the market's starting to come back up, but not all sectors are coming up equally. So there's some opportunities there to rebalance, meaning that, hey, if everything comes down and this one's come up a little bit, this one is still lagging, then because particularly the small company stocks, those have been hurt the most, right? Because they've lost their people to go to work, and they didn't have enough cash to weather the storm. And so that's one reason the small cap sector has been hit so hard and is continually being hit as they're trying to recover. So one of the things that you can do is rebalance, meaning that, hey, you may want to move some money, make a lateral move over here to the sectors, the larger companies, the mid-sized companies that are moving up, so that you can recapture that gain a little bit quicker, okay? So that's an idea that right now, we're certainly not recommending that people rush out and liquidate all their retirement accounts and move to safer ground. However, this time hopefully has woken you up and letting you see, hey, how much risk are you actually exposed to, okay? That's another thing to be looking at right now, your risk tolerance. Could you weather this again? Think about now if you're 5 or 10 years down the road and you're closer to retirement and this happens, how scary that would be. For those of you who are at that place, it's scary. And so making some of those strategic moves now could be critical in how you finish in the weeks and months and years to come. So if you've got questions about that, maybe you don't know what to do. How do I know how much risk I'm taking? We actually have access to software. We could run an analysis for you and show you how much risk you're taking. It's really important to know that. All of our clients, we help them design a risk budget so that we know how much risk they need to be taking and how it's going to impact their overall plan in the future, okay? So that's one of the things that we're doing right now as it relates to those current retirement plans. Now, the last thing that I'll talk about, ladies, is, all right, knowing where you are. It's important to know where you stand. As I said earlier, if you don't know where you're going, then you might not like where you end up. And so the first thing that requires is for you to know where everything is. You need to get organized and know where your assets are. Begin to make a list of those assets so that they're organized and you know where everything is. Ladies, if your husband's been the only one managing the money at this point, then you need to say, honey, I want to get involved. I need to know. Because remember, ladies, 80% of these men will never know if their financial plan succeeds or fails. And it's going to be your responsibility to know what that is. So you can't afford to just say, I'm going to just let him handle it. Because I'm telling you, the ladies that we see do that, it's a mess when that happens. They feel so insecure, so vulnerable. And you don't want to be in that place because you want to finish your life strong. And I promise you, knowing where you stand is going to do that. And so what we do at Keystone is all of our clients have a financial plan. If you don't have a financial plan, we call it the financial roadmap. If you don't have a roadmap to know where you're going, again, you may not like where you'll end up. And so many families, when they come in, I'm amazed. They don't have a financial plan. They have an investment portfolio, but that's it. And so there's so much more to having a plan. And for you to have the confidence, you can't go any longer without a financial plan. If your husband has an advisor that he's been working with and you don't go, maybe it's time you get a new advisor, one that you both can work with, that'll help you build a plan, his side of retirement as well as your side of retirement. This is what all of our clients will basically have like 5 mini plans within their big corporate plan. You'll have an income plan, meaning that when you retire, your income needs to be guaranteed, always increasing, and it needs to be there to last you for as long as you're alive, and if you're married, for as long as your spouse is alive. And so it's more than just getting a check in the mail. How do you know when to turn on Social Security? There's over 300 different options out there. So a customized income plan, we believe, is the foundational piece, and everyone needs to have an income plan. You need to know that cash flow sheet and where the money's coming so you can test it in the future, okay? An investment plan. Again, there's a lot of things under that. We focus on managing the volatility. Here's what we believe, that you don't have to make as much as the market makes in a bull market. You just can't lose what the market loses in a bear market. And so you win by not losing big, okay? And so in that, through this COVID-19, our clients have been so thankful for our investment philosophies and how we help them build the plan, because they've not experienced what many of you have experienced, okay? Tax planning, that's a whole conversation of planning within itself. This the stimulus that we've received. I think it was necessary. You know, the Federal Reserve was established in 1913 the purpose of the Federal Reserve is to stabilize an economy that's struggling. So they had to provide the stimulus, but this time, I truly believe, Jonathan and I believe that they put the money in the hands of the right people, because the small business owners have been using that, and it's helping them stay alive so they can get their feet back under them. But as a result of that, there's going to be some tax issues for us as a country down the road. And you know where it's going to come? Your retirement plans. Because if you think about all the monies in your retirement plans, none of it's ever been taxed. So there's certainly a lot of planning around that. Long-term care. Do you have a plan to protect you and your family should you get sick and need nursing home care or in-home care? You've got to have a plan around that. And then legacy planning. We have an estate planning attorney on our team. It's so important. So many people I see, they spend their whole life accumulating wealth, all for it to be unraveled in the later years of their life because they didn't have a plan. And so knowing where you stand is so important in the overall scheme of things. Now, ladies, I think this is probably the end of our time. We want to keep this short, but this is the first webinar of a series of webinars that we're going to be doing. Tell your friends, tell your lady friends to join on this, because we're going to be talking specifically to you ladies, and we're going to help you. And if you'll follow along, we're going to show you. It's going to be different than your traditional type of financial planning, but we're going to help you, show you how you can have confidence, how to be empowered to know that you can live your retirement life doing the things that you want to do with confidence. So we're going to walk you through. So again, this is the first video of a series that we're going to be doing. Also, you can subscribe to our podcast called Her Retirement. And again, if you have any questions, you can call us at 615-661-9554. Again, that's 615-661-9554. Or you can reach out by email, keystonefinancialresources.com. keystonefinancialresources.com. So again, if you have questions, please send us an email with those, and I promise you, we'll get back to you. I look forward to talking to you in the weeks ahead. We've got some great things for you ladies that you're not going to want to miss. Thanks for showing up today.